staying with international news, the East-West divide in the United Nations Security Council was again brought to the fore during the first open meeting on the situation in Myanmar in almost a decade.
The Council was late yesterday, briefed by the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who previously called for the persecution of ethnic Muslim Rohingya in Rhakine State as ethnic cleansing, again referring to the bone-chilling accounts from those who've fled across the border into Bangladesh. And whilst the UN and various rights and aid agencies see a disturbing pattern of violence that has forced hundreds of thousands from their homes, members of the Security Council can't seem to agree on what to call it.
There was to some a surprising lack of consensus in the Council to what is happening in Rhakine State. To others, it's more of the same. Groups like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, joined by over 80 civil society organizations, have referred to atrocities committed by state security forces as crimes against humanity, while both the UN chief and his High Commissioner for Human Rights have called it ethnic cleansing. Violence was precipitated by attacks on several Myanmar security posts on August 25th by the rebel Rhakine Rohingya Salvation Army.
I repeat my government's condemnation on the attacks carried out by the ARSA last month. But military operations in response have been excessive, and vigilante groups have carried out sectarian violence unchecked. This cannot continue. The hate speech and incitement to violence must stop. The Burmese military must act immediately and uphold the rule of law. And we are particularly concerned to ensure the violence does not spread to central Rakhine.
The States urged countries to suspend provision of weapons to Myanmar's government, also referring to the country by its former name.
We cannot be afraid to call the actions of the Burmese authorities what they appear to be: a brutal, sustained campaign to cleanse the country of an ethnic minority. And it should shame senior Burmese leaders who have sacrificed so much for an open, democratic Burma. The Burmese government claims it is battling terrorists. If this is true, let them allow media and humanitarian access to back up their claim.
Now, both expressed support for efforts by Myanmar's government to resolve the crisis.
We call upon the parties involved and the outside players to show restraint and to be objective in the assessment of the events. We need to be very careful when we wield such notions as genocide and ethnic cleansing. We need to focus on practical assistance to the government of Myanmar and Bangladesh as we look for a solution to this difficult and comprehensive issue in the spirit of equality and mutual respect.
As we speak, the situation on the ground is beginning to move towards stability. All parties should work constructively to help reinforce this momentum, de-escalate the situation there, and alleviate the humanitarian conditions step by step. China stands ready to work with all parties concerned to contribute constructively to the restoration of order and the achievement of peace and stability in Rhakine State.
In addition, Myanmar's National Security Advisor also dismissed notions of ethnic cleansing, telling the Council his government had invited the Secretary General to his country to enhance cooperation with the United Nations. But like with so many crises before this Council, reaching consensus on what often complicates the how and when it must act. And for the Rohingya of Rhakine State, still without citizenship and many now refugees, that will be of little comfort. Sherman Bryceby's SABC News, New York.